If you've subscribed to my channel, thank you very much. If you've not subscribed, then you can do by hitting the subscription button below, and if you tick on the notifications bell, that means you'll be notified every time I upload a tutorial, and it is of course free to subscribe. So for this tutorial you will need your selected yarn. I'm using Stylecraft Special DK in Matador White Black. The blue colour, you will need your filling, embroidery scissors, a stitch marker, darning needle and a crochet hook, and I'm using a 3.5mm. You can use a 4mm or a 3mm, that will change the size of the project. If you use a 4mm, it will start to get a little bit more gappy though, so I would recommend using a 3.5. So let's get started. So we'll start with the colour for the colour that you're using for the character, so the main body colour, and we'll start by making a magic circle. So to do that, grab your yarn and just press over there like that. Then what you want to do is get your hook and pull this yarn through here like that, and then you just need to secure it by pulling this yarn through here. Oop, I'm letting go. There you go. So now we're working around, just straighten that up a bit, or we're working into this loop here. Okay, so we're going to start by doing 6 double crochets, that's the UK terminology. In the US it's a single crochet, into this loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So once you've done that, you just need to close the loop by pulling on the tail. Now I tend not to do it too tight at this stage, just so I can get into the other stitch. So what we're going to do now is increase in each stitch around. So that means we're going to put 2 double crochets into each stitch around for a total of 12 stitches. So at this stage I would just count, and you can see here is your first stitch, so that's where we're working into. So we're going to put 1 and then another 1 back into that stitch, 2, and then just put that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So it's easier just to count that part. So we've now got 12 stitches in total, and I'll just pull on that tight. So that here is where you'd start using your stitch marker if you're going to use one. So we're going to mark the back of the very last stitch that we've done. So that's that one there. So I've just marked behind that. So by marking at this point, we know that the last stitch of every round will be in the marked piece of work, and it just helps you keep track. So for the next round, well, the next 5 rounds actually, we're going to just put 1 double crochet into each stitch around. So it's 12 stitches in total, and we're going to do that for the next 5 rounds. So your next stitch, because we're working in a spiral, there's no chain ones or slip stitching or anything like that. Our next stitch is that one there, the one directly in front of you. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whoop, 10, 11, and then our last stitch is the one that's marked. So just remove the marker, and 12, and then you just want to mark your work again. So we've got 4 more rounds to do that. So if you'd like to just complete the same again for 4 more rounds, and then I shall meet you here for the next part. So I've now completed those 5 rounds, and what we're going to do now is just yarn over, pull through and fasten off. Leave, it doesn't have to be super long, but just leave a longish tail. Right, that will do. And then what we're going to do now is just do that again. So we need to make another one, but this time don't fasten off. So if you pause the video, complete that and meet me back, and I will show you what to do from there. So I've just finished my second foot, and what I'm going to do now is chain 3. So do this not loose, but don't do it too tight, because we need to work on into each side of this later. So just 1, 2 and 3, chain 3. Now you want to get your other foot, and where we finished last time, if you pull it up, we're going to work into the very next stitch. We're going to join the 2. So if you pull that piece up there, you can see that's that stitch has worked into there. So it's this stitch we want to work into now. Okay, so insert your hook. Just get these tails out of the way. It's so fiddly, isn't it? So you insert your hook into that stitch, and then we're going to do a double crochet or single US. So yarn over, just snagged that stitch a bit there, yarn over and pull it through, and then yarn over and pull through the 2. Now what we want to do is work around, we're going to work around all of them basically, but I'll do this part with you. So work into the next stitch. So that was our first one, this is our second. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then our last stitch from the previous one will be 12. Now what we're going to do is work directly into each of the chain 3s. Then we're going to go back around this one and work in the other side of the chain 3s. So we've got 12 stitches on this foot, 12 stitches on that, plus 3 on this side and 3 on this side. So that will give us a total of 30 stitches. So we're just up to 12. And now, like my chains up, see if I'm not going into focus. So my chain's on the underside, you know, the right side of the chain, if you will. But we just want to go into, so we've got 1, 2, 3. So we want to go into that 3rd chain and do a double crochet, and then into the next one along. This bit is a bit fiddly because it's so small as well. 2, and then the last one. That's 3. So we had 12, sorry, 13, 14, 15. Now we want to continue around here. So the best way to see where your next stitch is pull your work up so you can see that is already in that stitch. So it's not that one, not that one there, it's that one there. And this is our 16th stitch. So 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and the last one here should be the 27, and then we've got 3 to do at the other side of the chain. So we've got, this is a bit tricky to see, but you've got 1, 2, 3 to do at the other side here. See if I can show you. So we've got 27, 28, 29, and the last one there. It is a bit tricky, as you can see. I'm struggling on this bit as well. But, and 30. Okay. So that's the base of our legs. So if you now want to mark your work, so just mark behind that last stitch as we did before. So from here on now to the top of the head, we are just going to go around and do 1 double crochet into each stitch around for a total of 30 stitches. Your last stitch will be the marked work, and then you'll mark your work again, do 1 in each again for 30 in total. So I'll start off the round with you. So we're just gonna do 1, 2, 3. So I'm just going to continue all around this side, all around that side, and all the way back for 30. So if you'd like to do that. Right, so I've just completed that round. I've just pulled up a loop so I can show you. So what I'd recommend doing at this stage is tucking your tails in, all bar one, and I'll show you underneath here the reason why for that. So this tail here, that was the top of that foot. I'll just leave that out, but these others, because they become quite annoying, the ones from the centre of the magic loop, I'm just going to snip those off and tuck them in. This one here, I'm just going to pull it through to the outside. Because what happens, if you can see there, it ends up being a bit gappy there. So we'll sew that up at the end, but I find it much easier to sew that up at the end once we've stuffed the character. So for now, we just need to complete 13 more rounds of 1 double crochet in each stitch. So 1 double crochet in each stitch, working all the way around, 30 stitches in total for the next 13 rounds. So if you mark the back of that's your last stitch on every round, and then remark your work and do that 13 more times, and then I will meet you here for the next part. So your work should now be looking like this. I'm quite happy with that height. If you wanted to make it any higher, just go ahead and add a couple more rows at this point, but I'm quite happy with that height. So just pull up a loop and stuff your character, starting with the legs. So I've just filled mine there. There's room to add a bit more, so I'll do that just before the end. So for the next round, we're going to start closing the head of the character up now. So to do that, we're going to do some decreases, and we're going to do invisible decreases. So I shall show you what I mean by that. So if you just want to mark the back of your work, right, so firstly we're going to do 1 double crochet in the next stitch, 1 in the next stitch, and 1 in the next stitch. So we've just done 3 double crochets in the first 3 stitches. Now we're going to do our invisible decrease, and the reason we do an invisible one is to make it not so gappy with it being a sphere shape. So to do that, all you need to do, we're going to go through the front loop only. So that's the V on top of the stitch, it's just the front bit, not the back bit. So we're going to go through the front loop only, grab the yarn and pull up a loop, so you've got 2 loops on the hook. Then we're going to move to the next stitch and go through the front loop only, grab the yarn and pull through, so you've got 3 loops on the hook, and yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So that pulls in those 2 stitches to create 1. So that's our first decrease. Then we're going to do 1 double crochet into the next 3 stitches again. So 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to do another invisible decrease. So insert your hook into the front loop, yarn over and pull through, so you've got 2 loops on. Insert your hook into the next front loop, yarn over and pull through, so you've got 3 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3. And then we're just going to continue that all the way round. So 1, 2, and 3. So 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches, then our invisible decrease. So insert into the front loop, yarn over, pull through, so you've got 2 loops, insert into the front loop, yarn over, pull through, so you've got 3 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3. So if you'd like to pause the video and complete that until you get to the end of your work. So I've just completed that round, and my last stitch was the last of the 3 double crochets. So I've marked my work, and now we're going to do 1, 2 double crochets. So 1 double crochet into the next 2 stitches rather, and then an invisible decrease, and repeat that all the way around. So 1 and 2, and then an invisible decrease. So if you'd like to complete that all the way around, so 1 double crochet in the next stitch, 1 in the next, then an invisible decrease, 1, 1, decrease, 1, 1, decrease, all the way around until you get to your stitch marker, until you've done the stitch mark. So as I'm getting to the end of that round, I'll just show you. I've just done an invisible decrease, and I have got 3 stitches left. So what I'm going to do is 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then I'll decrease the last 2. 1, and 2, and then mark the work. And then for this round it will be 1 double crochet into the next stitch, then an invisible decrease into the next one. And then the next stitch will be 1 double crochet, and then a decrease, and we'll just continue that all the way around for this round until you get to your stitch marker. So for the last round we're just going to do an invisible decrease into each stitch around, and it's a bit faffy as we start closing it up now as well. But if you'd like to complete that, we're just going to do an invisible decrease until we get and finish on our marked work. So I've just done my last invisible decrease. I'm now going to slip stitch to the front loop of the next stitch, and then tie off, leaving a longish piece of yarn to just sew the top up. So you'll just need your darning needle and the way I do it with the tops of the any amigurumi work, I follow the way it's been going. People may do it differently, this is just the way I do it, and I go through that back loop that's sticking out almost like a drawstring so I can pull it tight. So just go through all of the front loops until I meet myself back, and then just pull tight, and then we just want to fasten that off and tie in that end. So just put a knot in that bit there, and then I'll just push it through. The character a few times, don't pull on it too tight or you'll pull the work in. And that's it. Snip that bit off, and then this is the point. Can you see there? There's a gap, which is why we left this tail out earlier. So I'm just going to stitch that up. So I'm just going to hook it there and there, and just close that up like so. Just fasten that off and tie in that end. Oop, I lost it there. There we go. So that's the body of our character done. That wasn't too bad, was it? Quite easy. So next we're just going to move on to the backpack. So for that, staying with, just reshaping that, staying with the colour of the character, you need to make a slip knot, pop a slip knot on your hook, and we want to chain 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Then we want to work a double crochet, single in the US, into each chain along, starting with the second chain from the hook. So that will be 7 in total. So if you'd like to just complete that, then we're going to move around and work on the other side of this chain. So to create the corner, what we're going to do is put another 2 double crochets into that stitch we've just worked into. So that's 1 and 2. Then we're going to turn and work around this way. So if you can see, sorry, my autofocus isn't doing great today, is it? So we've just got 3 in that one. We're going to work around the other side. So here is the next stitch. And then move along to the next. You can't see it great, but you can certainly feel it. So we're just working into the other side of the chain. And then we're back at the very first stitch there. And we want to put another 2 into this one to make the corner on this side. So 1 and 2. So that's that part complete. What we want to do now is mark our work, and then we're just going to go around now in a circle around, well, semicircle, putting 1 double crochet into each stitch around. So just follow it all around until you get back to your stitch marker, and your marked piece of work is your last stitch for this round. So you're just following it around like so. So if you'd like to complete that, then I'll meet you at the stitch marker. So basically what this is doing, so this is the pouch. I've got a bit of an end sticking out of there, what I've fastened in. There we go. So this is the pouch that we're creating, and the bit we've just done is that bit here. So we're now going round. So all we're going to do for these next rounds is just continue to do that 1 double crochet into each stitch all around, and it will start curling upwards, which is totally normal because that's what's going to make our pouch. So if you'd like to go ahead and put 1 double crochet into each stitch all around. So your last stitch is the marked piece of work, then remark the stitch after that, and we need to do that for another 6 rounds, or until you've got the backpack to the size you want. So I've just completed that, and that's how it's looking. So if you pause the video and complete that, and meet me back for the next stage. So now all we're going to do is slip stitch into the next stitch along and yarn over and pull through to tie off our work, leaving a long enough tail to sew this shut. First we just want to pad it, and I personally don't like mine very padded because I feel like they're a bit flat on the characters. So just stuff it to your liking, and then we will just sew this closed. So this time, instead of going into a spiral, I'm just going to line my stitches up and go through the back loop on this nearest to me and the front loop on the furthest one away. And I'm just going to do that all along. Don't worry if it's not exact. So just do that all along. So I've just done that, tied off and threaded my yarn through. So we'll pop that to one side at the minute and come back to it to sew on the ends at the end. So now we're going to be making the face or the eye or whatever this bit is. Okay, so I've used the blue yarn with this and then put the white dot detail at the end and moved to the black. So it's entirely up to you what colour choices you do, but that's what I've done on here. So it's just a very pale light blue. So we want to make a slip knot. And chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and then we're going to put a double crochet into the second chain from the hook. So 1, we'll actually put the corner in here, so we'll put another 2 in. So 1, 2, 3. So we've put 3 double crochets into that first stitch. Then we're going to put 1 into each stitch along until we get to the end. And then in this last stitch we're going to put 3 double crochets for our corner. So 1, 2 and 3, because we're going to work along the other side again like we did for the backpack. So we've just put 3 into this one here, so now we want to move into the next one there. Put 1 double crochet. Oop. And then the next stitch we want 1 double crochet, and then the next stitch we want 1 double crochet. Then, so if we mark our work, that's the very last stitch of that round. Then we're going to work into the top of the stitch here, so go straight into that one for round 2, and we're just going to put 1 double crochet, and then in the next stitch we're going to increase, so we're going to put 2, so 1 and 2. Then in the next one we're going to put 1 double crochet, and then in the next one an increase, so 1 and 2, and we're going to do that all the way around. So 1 in the next, then an increase, 1 in the next, and then an increase until we get back to the end, and your last stitch will be your marked work. So if you complete that, and I'll meet you here. So I've just completed that, and now we're going to join the black. So if you join the colour whichever way you usually do so, I just pull it through. I'm obsessed with knotting it all, so I just double knot it. Right, okay, so this is our final round for this eye, and all we're going to do is simply go straight into the next stitch with 1 double crochet, and we're just going to do 1 double crochet all around until we get to the end. And I've not marked it because I'm in a different colour, so I'll know exactly my last stitch is that one. So if you'd like to just go ahead and complete that, and I will meet you for the next bit. It will start curling, by the way, which is all right. We want it to curl outwards that way. So I've just done my very last stitch, so now I'm just going to slip stitch to the stitch we did at the beginning, yarn over and pull through, leaving quite a longish tail, so we can sew this on to our character. Before we do, mine at the beginning, I don't know how yours has turned out, depends how tight your chain was. I feel it's a bit gappy, and we are going to stuff this as well as we sew it on. So my solution to this is, if yours is gappy too, I just stitch down the front on the inside, that is, of the work. Just so that this stitch is going in front of, do that way, didn't I? Doesn't really matter because it's all going on the inside anyway. It's just to kind of give the appearance of that being more closed from the other side. And then I'll just fasten that off and tie in that end. Your other ends can just tuck in, so I just cut them a bit shorter and they can just tuck in. Right, so now if you've watched my tutorials before, you know this is the worst bit for me. I don't know about you guys. Let me know in the comments. Do you like sewing bits on or not? I personally don't like this bit. I find it faffy, but it's got to be done. So we are going to fasten on our eye. So make sure you've got it facing the right way. Because we've been working in a spiral, you can't really see any major differences, so it doesn't really matter which side. If you want to pin it or use stitch markers or different colour thread to kind of pin it in place, you can do. I'm just gonna freestyle it, so I'm going to go around this way and then I'm going to leave a little gap at the top to stuff it before I finish. So it's just kind of doing it where you think is right on here. So it's just stitching. This on. Now this is the way I do it, guys. If there's any better way, feel free to tell me in the comments box, because as I say, this is my least favourite part. But this is how I just do it. I just grab the stitch underneath and the back loop or the front loop, depending which way around you are. So if you like to sew that on, leave a bit of a gap so we can stuff it, and I'll meet you here. So I've left my little gap. Oop. So I can just stuff that. Ooh. And then just continue stitching that on. So now we just need to sew on the backpack. So where we started with the chain, where I put that on the bottom, and again if you want to pin this in place you can do. So I'm going to start with my yarn about here. Just leave that bit to tie in. Right, so I really cheat with this bit because I don't like sewing in. And what I do is I just go under like that. If you want to sew it on properly, go ahead and sew it on properly, but this is how I do it. And then, oh, I'm out of focus. And then I just go under all of that. Because it's already stuffed. And I just do that a couple of times. And I just do it on each side. And I don't go right to the edge because you want to kind of see the backpack, so you don't want to put it too flush. So I just do it that way, do it a couple of times each side on each of the sides. So I've just finished stitching that up. See, I think that's all right personally. If you do want to do stitch by stitch, that's fantastic, but I just find that much easier to get it on straight as well for me personally. So that's it. That's your little Among Us. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you've got any questions, comments, stick them in the comments box. If you've liked the tutorial, please give me a thumbs up. I love seeing your work. My links to my social media are in the description box, so you can pop pictures across on Facebook or Instagram. That's everything. So I shall see you next time. Thank you. Bye bye.